Hey guys, what is up? It is Sophie. Welcome back to a new video. Today I'm going to be revealing something pretty big and I'm going to be telling you guys where I'm going to be going to college. And today I am going to be revealing where I'm going to college. But first I'm going to tell you all of the schools I applied to. I'm just going to talk about my entire college process, give some advice, all of that stuff. I can officially say that I am done with the college process and I've actually had this figured out for like over a month now, but I'm only just getting around to filming a video on it. I know when I was going through the college process, I watched so many of these videos. So I would say that my college process started in my junior year, definitely the start of my junior year. That is when I started figuring out what I wanted in a school. That's when I first took my SAT. I took it in December. If you are a sophomore, junior, or freshman even, I would definitely keep this in mind. Take your SAT early because it feels so good to get it over. I took it the first time December of my junior year. That was like the perfect time to take it. I spent the month beforehand studying every weekend. It was hell, but it was worth it in the end because it really does. Obviously, it's very important for the college process. It makes a difference even with scholarships and stuff. I would definitely work hard on it because once you get through it, once you study and you take it and you see that you got a good score, then you will be like so proud of yourself and so happy, and then you're done. Then you don't have to worry about that anymore, and getting it done early is also really nice because then you don't have to worry about it anymore. You can focus on school because junior year is the hardest year of school. You're probably, if you're a sophomore, junior, you've heard that before. And yeah, it's tough. And for my SAT, I was lucky enough to get a tutor. If you can afford that, it is very expensive. Classes are very expensive too. Basically with my tutor, all I did was that there are like 8 to 10 practice tests on the College Board website. They're like official, like SAT, they're old SAT tests and stuff. Did one of those every single weekend. They take a long ass time because it's like taking an actual SAT, so it's about 3 hours. Time was definitely the biggest issue I had personally. But yeah, I just did one of those every weekend. I guess I did it for much longer than actually a month because now that I'm thinking about it, I know I did 8. So that's actually 2 months. But then with my tutor, I would go through everything I got wrong. But also, if you can't afford it, you can definitely just do that by yourself. You can print out the practice tests and then you can also see all the answers online and get explanations for it. So you can definitely do it that way too. And also, I didn't mention this, the ACT obviously is another option. I didn't take the ACT just because I did really well on my SAT the first time and I didn't feel the need to try to study for a whole other test if I was already happy with what I got on the SAT the first time. I know the ACT is better for people who are more like math and sciencey is what I've heard, but if you're not really sure which one's gonna work better for you, then just take them both. I did end up taking my SAT a second time, but I waited a very long time to take it, which is why I say take it early, get all of that over with early, because I ended up taking my second SAT August before my senior year, so like August of 2018 is when I took it. I don't know if it's like a weird thing to say my SAT score in this video, but honestly, like I think it's kind of helpful and I like my SAT score. This is not me trying to brag, and I know it's not like, it's nothing crazy, but it was very good for me and I was very proud of myself for getting it. But my first time I got a 1340 with a 660 on English and a 680 on math, which was very good for me because my first practice test for math, I got in the low 500s, so all of that work really paid off. When I took it again in August to try to get my English score up a little higher because English is typically the subject I'm really good at, I got it to a 680, so I ended up with a 1360, which I was really happy with. At the beginning of my college process, I had no freaking idea where I wanted to go. I didn't really know what I wanted to study, and throughout this past like year and a half has definitely changed. At first I was looking at schools like closer to home, or honestly just like any schools that sounded interesting to me. I had Tulane on there, I had American, I had a bunch of random schools on there that didn't really fit like one sort of criteria. And then sort of towards the middle of my junior year, I came up with a long list of criteria and I actually wrote down a few of them so that you guys can see, and maybe it'll give you some ideas of what you're looking for in a school. So I really wanted a big school. I went to a really small high school. still go to a really small high school, and it is just way too small for me. I really wanted to go somewhere where I could meet a ton of new people, and I really want to go somewhere warm because I do live in the Northeast and it is so freaking cold right now. It's gonna be snowing this weekend. That is just not for me. I am so much of a summer person. I like warm weather, and I realized that if I have the ability to go somewhere where it's warm all year round, like why wouldn't I do that? Like my happiness is so affected by the weather. Why wouldn't I want to go somewhere where it's warm all year, you know? I wanted somewhere affordable. I don't really know what I'm going to be doing career-wise in the future, but I know I'm not going to be a doctor. I'm not going to be a scientist. I'm not going into computer science, you know? I'm not expecting to make a ton of money, and I don't want to be drowning in student loans and student debt for my entire, I don't know. It can last a long, long time. So my goal was really to try to get as little student loans as possible, or to just have none, which would be really nice. So I definitely think having a conversation with your parents about what you can afford is very important, because I think that sometimes like school counselors and stuff especially don't really take that. Well, maybe that's probably just, I live in a pretty wealthy town, so that actually might be a factor. Maybe at other schools counselors do talk about student loans and all that kind of stuff with you, but I know that that wasn't really a topic of conversation between my guidance counselor and I when we met with my parents. That wasn't a huge thing. Basically, my mom really wanted me to go to a school that I could definitely afford with no debt, and then my dad just wanted me to get into the best school possible and go there, like even if it meant I had to take out a ton of debt. And my guidance counselor seemed to be more on his side with that whole thing, and was mentioning a lot of schools that I definitely would have been able to afford. I also wanted a school with a campus and with a lot of school spirit. I didn't want a commuter campus. I didn't want a city campus. I wanted just the traditional, like, college campus where everything is in one specific, like, campus, you know? I also wanted a school with Greek life because that's always something I've been interested in joining, and I wanted like big sports games and like tailgates and all that stuff. So all of this led me to find 5 schools that I decided to apply to, which to some people does not seem like a lot, but to me it was the perfect amount. So these schools I ended up applying to was the University of Georgia, University of Florida, Arizona State University, University of Arizona, and University of Texas at Austin. So with this list, UF and UGA were more my target schools, ASU and U of A were my safeties, and UT Austin was my reach. So with these 5 schools, I ended up having to write a lot more essays than I expected to. It was around 12 total, and that's including supplements and like shorter mini essays, which were still around like 200, 350 words, which is still a lot, and it still takes a lot of thought and time. So I started writing my essays in September, and I think I finished writing them around the beginning of November. So it was a long time. I mean, writing 12 essays with no overlap is a lot. It's a lot. And that was also because I decided to apply for the Honors College at Arizona State and the Honors College at University of Arizona. So that was, I think, altogether 3 extra essays. And ASU and U of A didn't originally have essays. And during this time that I'm writing the essays, I started hearing back from my first schools. So at the end of September, I heard back from University of Arizona, and I had literally just applied the week before. So I have a video from when I was filming my reactions of me like a second after I opened my portal and I saw that I had gotten in, and it just kind of like popped up, and I was like, wait, what? Like, this is so, it happened so quick, but I was so excited because that was my first school down. Like, I had already gotten into a school, which was crazy because it wasn't even October yet. And then about 2 weeks later, around that, I heard back from Arizona State, and I also got in there, and I also ended up getting into the Honors College for Arizona State. So then it's November. I've just finished writing all of my college essays. I visited University of Arizona and ASU, and earlier in the year, in June, I had visited University of Georgia. I really loved Georgia. That was definitely very high up there on the list for me. It had basically everything I was looking for, and I did really like the school. But that week that I was visiting University of Arizona and ASU was the week that I found out about Georgia early action, and I got deferred, which was completely expected. I did not think I was gonna get in early action because for a state school it is very selective with early action. Their early action is based purely off of GPA and your SAT or ACT score. My GPA, which I didn't mention yet, I think weighted, because my school doesn't do unweighted, was a 3.97. Don't know what it is unweighted. I think it's around a 3.7. That weekend, because I was also visiting University of Arizona and ASU, I decided to make my college decision. Both of these schools had pretty much everything I was looking for, but when I was on each of the different campuses, it was just a very different feeling. One of these schools I absolutely fell in love with, and the other one I didn't really like. I'm just gonna announce it. The college that I will be attending is When I visited U of A, it was totally different than any other school that I had seen before. It was just such a strong feeling of, okay, this is where I'm meant to be. I don't even know how to explain it. So I was so happy that entire weekend to have finally found my dream school. And I actually visited U of A first before I visited ASU. So going into ASU, you know, maybe I would have liked it more if I had seen it first, but after seeing U of A, it was like, okay, like I don't even know why I'm here right now. Like I know where I'm going to school. U of A just has everything that I'm looking for, and I really fell in love with the campus. So I am so unbelievably excited that I'm going to be going there next year and for the next 4 years of my life. And I have some more advice for applying to colleges, so I'm just going to say all of that now because honestly, some of this I think is just so helpful, and I know some people who probably should have heard this before they started the process because I think it would have been helpful. Nowadays, it's a known fact that it's very, very hard to get into college, but I think it's a lot harder than people expect. There have been so many instances in my grade so far where people have completely expected to get into a school and then gotten rejected or deferred or waitlisted. So I think it's really important to be very realistic with yourself when you're going through this process. Be realistic with yourself about your grades, the classes you've taken, and your SAT score. And even though there's nothing wrong with applying to schools that are very hard to get into, like that's a good thing. Like I applied to UT Austin knowing full well I wasn't gonna get in, but maybe there was a chance. Maybe the person reading my application would be like, oh, you know what? Like this girl is actually perfect for our school, even though I was extremely under their out-of-state statistics. And also, don't look purely at statistics and base that off of how you will get it, if you will get into a school or not, because I can't totally speak from personal experience, because I think with Georgia, I did fall under their average statistics for early action applicants. Definitely for who was admitted, but I think even for last year's, I was a little bit below average. So I know there's one school in my grade that a ton of people applied to, and I think quite a few of them had it as even their safety. Out of however many people applied, maybe around like 5 to 10, only one of them got in. So with all of that being said, I think it's important to have a safety school or a few safety schools that you actually like. For me, ASU and U of A were my safety schools, and I did decide to go to U of A, and I didn't really see them as safety schools throughout my college process, even though like with my grades and SAT score, technically they were. I saw them as schools I was genuinely interested in. I genuinely like wanted to go to. So I think finding a school like that is very important because you never know, like you might have no option but to go there. It's good to be prepared in case of that. And this also goes along with the last one, apply early, because finding out early which schools you're getting into and which you aren't helps so much, especially a lot of college deadlines, like their last deadlines are in the middle of January. So if you're finding out from schools in November, December, you have time to apply to more schools if it comes down to that. I think that's another perk of really applying early. And also in my case, I'm chilling. I've known that I'm going to U of A for more than a month, So with schoolwork, I'm so done with everything. My motivation is lower than it ever has been. It's nice to be able to just chill at this point and not have to stress. Also, scholarships is another thing to take into consideration. I got scholarships from ASU and from U of A. I think both of those gave you they had a scholarship calculator basically telling you how much merit aid you would get. So merit aid is basically just based purely off of your GPA and test scores. So that was very helpful too. And obviously any kind of money you can get from a school and make it less expensive is so appreciated. I'm so thankful for that, and that just really showed that working hard really pays off. Then there are a million websites online for scholarships. I've never won one, but I haven't applied to a lot. So I know FastWeb is really good and they have a ton, and it's not all essay writing ones too. I think there's some with photography and art and all that stuff. So if you really don't like writing essays, because with scholarships you do have to write a lot of essays, I would definitely recommend checking that out. And then my last piece of advice is to, at the end of the day, listen to yourself and what you feel is the right school for you. The school I go to is very pretentious about colleges. I also have an extremely competitive grade, and so both of this together, just not a good mix. There were quite a few people who were very judgmental for me for choosing to go to Arizona just because it isn't ranked as a Ivy League school. But Arizona was just the right school for me, and literally so many people at my school were so judgy, but that's just how they are. Just my entire school environment, even the guidance counselors, they tended to have a very pretentious way at looking at colleges, and that's just because they want to make our school look like it's the best. And actually last year's senior class, only 2 students went to Ivy League schools. One of them got an early decision, and the other one was waitlisted until the middle of June, until literally I think it was the week of graduation. I am not really the type of person who cares at all what anyone in my grade thinks. I really don't, and especially now, it's funny to me at this point. I was talking to this girl in my class, and she was asking me oh, what schools are you applying to? And I told her my list, and she literally just laughed in my face, and I was like, what the very much an attitude of that in my school. That's kind of ridiculous to me. I don't like that at all. So that is why I say stick with what you feel is right for you. Don't listen to other people in this process at all. I don't know, if you feel you have to apply to certain schools because that's what other people in your grade are doing, or that's what your school is telling you to do, apply where you want to. And also parents, I didn't even mention this because my parents were pretty chill with the whole college process. My dad was definitely a bit judgmental about my school choices too at first. He was not happy with some of the schools that I wanted to apply to, and I just was very annoyed with that. So I know a lot of parents are also very controlling with the process, and they want their kids to go to a certain school, so they try to take over the process for them. But at the end of the day, remember that this is your choice, it's your future, so if you can, try not to let anyone's opinions influence your decision but your own. And with that, I am done with this video. I feel I just talked for so long, but I'm very excited that I can now talk about Arizona on my channel. I'm very excited for college, and I'm excited to do videos about college, and I'm so done with high school. I'm ready to start this next chapter of my life. Okay guys, thank you for watching till the end of this video. Make sure to give this video a big like, subscribe if you're new, and also you can check out my social media if you want to see what I'm doing when I'm not filming videos. P.S. Instagram also heard this announcement first, so I'll see you guys next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.